Hey guys, it gets a little monotonous staying at home all the time. I'm sure y'all feel the exact same way. So I thought I'd do something a little different. So I mixed it up a little, and this is a standalone lesson. If y'all kind of like it, I might do more of them, but or this might be the only one. We'll find out. But be nice, all right? I'm trying something new. It was fun to try. It was fun to learn a new skill. So anyway, here we go.
Ah! We're doing some physics at the farmhouse! Physics! Ah! We're doing some physics at the farmhouse! Physics! We're doing some physics! Physics at the farmhouse! We're doing some physics at the farmhouse!
So my wife and I chose to buy this old rundown farmhouse out in Fayette County 2 years ago, and we knew it'd be a lot of work. But what we weren't expecting is how much just nature tries to attack you at every level. This hole right here, that hole's from when the top of that tree decided to fall out and bust through. There's other tree limbs just sticking up out of the ground where when they fall from that high, they just try to stab something. And then of course the sheer amount of pollen that all of our trees are creating, it's fairly amazing. And then there's things like birds. We can't use our front door right now because a bird has put a nest on it. We have mice that run around all the time, and not in the house, but they're around. So I put up some traps, and that's what made me think about this lesson I want to do for y'all. All right, so let's head on down to my workshop, and I'll show you what's going on with the mice down there and what it made me want to think about. Oh, I love this song. I'm gonna take the long way so I get to hear more of it. Every time, like, you don't know, he thinks he's talking to a machine, and then it turns out he's actually talking to Austin. It just gets me every time. Oh, that song, I tell you what, it's like M. Night Shyamalan, just a switcheroo at the end. All right, so this is a extra garage in my workshop. Pretty cool. You don't usually see this kind of siding and everything on somebody's garage. So this guy I bought it from had really great ideas, but he didn't really implement them well because he decided he wanted to be cheap. So he decides to put this cool siding up, but then to save money, there's different grades of stuff. And the low grade allows there to be knots and defects all throughout the wood. Guess what all these little holes are all in my walls? Guess what they're good for? If you said mice, you're right. So I keep a couple of buckets of, hey, look, we've got a winner. He went swimming. He didn't make it. All right, so this is called a walk the plank trap. All right, I got another one. We'll go check the other one. So while this man decides that it's okay to buy wood that has holes all in it everywhere, he then decides to put hardwood flooring in a workshop. So I don't know what to think about that, but there you go. All right, so anyway, here's our other one. See how we're doing here. Oh, he took some of my seeds down with him. All right, so let me pick this up. Let me, I've already got it all ready to talk about. So let's look at this. I'm gonna pull this piece up. All right. So Mr. Loden, why don't you just use regular traps? Because regular traps, I can catch a whopping 1 mouse a night. I have to remember to go check it every single day and reset it every single day. And many a times, the first mouse gets caught in it, and then other mice come along and just eat all the food away from it. But this guy resets himself, okay? So it hangs on the bucket, all right? And it's got a pivot. And you can play with how strong the pivot is by raising and lowering a little screw in there. But essentially, when the mouse comes walking along here, he comes out too far, and all of a sudden, he falls, all right? And so if you put an Allen wrench and I put it out here, you can see that it falls and then it resets itself. So the cool thing is I don't have to check it every single day. It will catch many, many mice in one day. In fact, I have found if you catch, it's rare to catch only 1 mouse, because usually for some stupid reason, if one mouse goes down, they decide they want to know what's going on and they try it too. So it's really a cool little thing. But here's the important part, the physics. It works by this idea of center of mass, okay? And center of mass is one of those things that's so easy to understand, the words actually describe it. It's where the mass's center is. Well, when the mouse comes along and he's sitting right here and he's smelling it, everything's great. And then he can inch out and he can get closer and closer, and then at some point, and this is probably a little heavy for a mouse, at some point it breaks on him. And the idea is center of mass is the mathematical center of all the shapes that have mass, okay? To be stable, a mass must have its supports either directly above or directly below him. Here's your support. So as long as this is right here, you're nice and stable. But when the mouse comes back here, at some point, the sum of this mass and his mass leaves. And at that point, he tips over and he ends up drowning himself, okay? This is all over the place. Y'all just don't know what to look for it. So let me just start with a chest of drawers, okay? My toolbox is just a big metal chest of drawers here. All right, I'm hoping I don't cut my head out. All right, so we look at this, and you have a chest of drawers in your room. Maybe you have a dresser. If you have the long, low thing, it's a dresser. Otherwise, you've got essentially a chest that's full of drawers, a chest of drawers. Notice it next time you see one. You tend to have skinny drawers on top, and then the drawers progressively get fatter. Skinny drawer, medium drawer, really, really fat drawer, okay? Well, this goes into play with how much can you fit on it. How much can you fit in a tiny drawer? Not a lot. It's tiny. How much can you fit in a really big drawer? A whole lot. It becomes heavy. So your big heavy stuff goes down there, or just stuff that you have a whole lot of. So what happens is they're encouraging you to have everything really low. This can become really dangerous if you're really sloppy. How many of you, when you walk in your room, you can see that like your t-shirt drawer and your jean drawer and your underwear drawer are all open at the same time? You'll probably be okay, but the cheaper the furniture, the lighter the furniture, you can end up tipping it over. Children die like that. If you've bought any furniture from IKEA, they all have these like anchor straps where you're supposed to anchor them to the wall. So, you know, if I'm sitting here and I'm being sloppy and I open everything up, I'm getting kind of nervous actually. Lower the lid. Oh, there she goes. All right, so just a very light amount of pressure and she wants to go over, okay? So anyway, that's why they put the really fat drawers at the bottom and the skinny drawers at the top. Technically I should put these two together, but I don't. But there's actually a kit that you can screw them together, so this is all one big system. But your heavy stuff's low and your light stuff's high, so what happens is even when I have this drawer way out here, the center of mass is still within the 4 support legs, okay? Because there's 4 wheels, and as long as the center of mass is somewhere between those 4 wheels, you're very, very stable. That's why 3-legged anythings are so unstable. It's hard to stay in the 3 legs, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. I'll just back up some so I don't chop my head off. All right, so 0-turn radius mower, they're really, really popular, everybody likes them, but they're actually pretty dangerous, okay? And the reason they're pretty dangerous is center of mass. You look at this thing, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels. So as long as the center of mass stays between all those wheels, everything's gonna be great. Problem is, the heaviest part of this is the engine. And guess where the engine is? It's behind the center of the wheel. And so therefore it's outside. So that means this whole entire thing is a little bit off right from the beginning. And then look at where the seat is. When you're sitting right here, you are inside the wheels, but not by much. It doesn't take much, and all of a sudden you've messed it up. We bought a bagger because we have so many trees, trying to get those leaves up. When that bagger sits right here, especially if the leaves are very damp at all, this gets really, really heavy and you could pop a wheelie. So when you buy one of these, let me check and make sure the camera's seeing it. Oh yeah, I got tons of room. This guy right here is not original. This actually came with the bagger, all right? And it's essentially bars of lead, okay? It's something like 60 pounds of just metal that they put as a front bumper, and this came as an add-on. If you put a bagger on the back, you got to put this weight right here. Otherwise, you could accidentally start popping wheelies and everything. Or if you just cut on an incline. If you cut on an incline very much, the gas tank, by the way, is right here, right by the rear wheels. So if you go up any kind of incline at all and then decide to go on the side of it, it's very easy for the average mass of everything to actually have a location behind this wheel. And as soon as it is, this thing's going to tip over. And that's why you see them. That's why you see them with the roll bar sometimes. A lot of times they'll have a roll bar and other things. Because this is kind of a dangerous little piece of equipment. If it was cheaper and the non-serious person could buy it more easily, they would probably have more safety mechanisms in place. But because it's kind of a higher dollar machine, they know only people that truly need it will probably buy it. And as a result, you can get away with not having all those safety issues. One more thing to talk about, and we need to take a walk for that. Hey, another quick center of mass thing. I wasn't even planning on including this, and then it just kind of dawned on me I should as I was walking past the truck again. The idea of jacking up your vehicle, all right? There's nothing wrong with it, but don't exceed recommendations, okay? When you jack it up, essentially what that's doing is, first of all, remember that inertia. When you make a corner, the mass wants to keep going straight, okay? So when you jack your truck up and you make that corner, inertia makes the mass of the truck want to go straight. And what happens is it can cause a tilt. It can cause a sway. it should make sense to you that the taller something is off the ground, the less of an angle it takes before the center of mass of this vehicle is no longer inside the four wheels. As soon as it's not inside the four wheels anymore, you're tipping over, okay? And a lot of times you don't even have to tip over. You can just lean too far one way, and then all of a sudden when it lands back on the ground, you've overcorrected and something bad happens, all right? Jacking stuff up is fun, but keep in mind, you can't beat physics, okay? Make sure you understand no matter how new and shiny and expensive those lift kits and the rims are, and those huge big knobby tires, you can't beat physics, okay? So make sure you don't exceed safe recommendations on stuff. All right, most of y'all know that I talked about having to buy a truck, and the reason I was buying a truck is because my SUV that I had previously could tow my boat just fine, but we bought this back in October and we could not tow this with the SUV that we owned. All right, it's a much bigger, larger item. Center of mass comes into play real quick like when you start talking about towing, and it becomes real dangerous if you're not careful about towing. Even if you do everything right, things can go wrong. See that tire right there? I had a blowout on I-40 going around 60 miles per hour on my boat trailer, and thankfully it stayed under control and everything was fine, but bad things can happen even when you're doing everything right. So let's talk about the proper way to load a trailer, because this is all about center of mass. So I have this little utility trailer right here, and you know, if you look at this, there essentially are 3 points of contacts. It has the tongue over there that attached to the bumper, and then you got your 2 wheels. So the trailer is stable as long as all the weight is centered on there somewhere. But that's not quite good enough when you talk about highway speeds, okay? What happens is a lot of people are real sloppy, and they come along and they're like, oh, I need to take my lawnmower to the shop, and they barely put the lawnmower on, and essentially the lawnmower is weighed down behind the wheels, okay? And if it's behind the wheels, you actually have a negative tongue weight, all right? It's lifting on the rear bumper of the car. That's a terrible thing, okay? That causes sway, that causes accidents, all right? You always want about 67, 2/3, you want 2/3 of the weight to always be in front of the wheels, and you want your tongue to weigh about 5 to 10% of your total. It's better to be too heavy than too light, okay? And a lot of people will be like, well, I know that I can tow 6,000 pounds. That's probably not enough. I know that I can tow 9,000 pounds. Well, you know where the math actually starts failing first? It's with the payload, okay? So let's talk payload. The SUV I had a towing capacity of 6,400 pounds, and that RV was only 5,000 pounds. So technically I should be able to tow it. But the problem is payload, okay? What is payload? That's the amount of weight you can actually put on the vehicle. The payload to my SUV was 1,300 pounds. Well, if I put 4 people in it, averaging, let's say, 150 apiece, that's 600 pounds. That leaves me 700 pounds, okay? The tongue weight of this thing, 500 pounds. That leaves me 200 pounds for anything left, okay? And when I fail to do that, that means my cooler, that means anything else I put in the SUV with me, I can't go over 200 pounds, including the gasoline, okay? So how does this have to do with center of mass? It has to do with it because the mass needs to stay in the right place on your vehicle. And when you overload a trailer or overload your vehicle, you're making a very, very dangerous situation. You don't ever want to have negative tongue weight. You always want to have positive downward force on the bumper. You want more, you want too much rather than not enough, okay? Too much, it might make your rear bumper ride low and it's not going to handle quite as well. Too little, and the trailer is going to get all squirrely on you and it's going to cause an accident, okay? So anyway, today's quick little lesson, center of mass. I talked about lawnmowers, talking about trailers. Just make sure that just because your truck can do it, because y'all are all truck people, just because your truck can do it, you need to make sure it can do it well. Make sure that you actually understand how to load things properly so that it's still safe. Just because your truck is powerful enough doesn't mean it can handle safely. All right? Y'all have a great break. See you later.